GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, TechTarget, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus authorized training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website for offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, TechTarget, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500 plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100 plus authorized training partners and 50 plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000 plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices.
Hello, dear participants. Thank you so much for joining today's session. We'll be starting a session in few seconds. And meanwhile, please drop your locations where you're watching us from. It's always great to know how global audience is joining us, right? So please drop your locations in the chat box. And here we go. You all can see my screen. Perfect. Again, I would love to give you all a very warm welcome to our new series called GSDC Certified Learning, ISO Governing AI in the Right Direction, with this theme that is strengthening resilience, security, and accountability through ISO leadership. My name is Preetham. I'll be your session moderator today. Feel free to reach out to me in case if you have any question or concern, and I'm very happy to assist you all. So what makes our session more exciting that we always have this incredible panel of speakers lined up for this week, particularly from 29th June till 10th July 2026 and the next week as well. So we'll be announcing the next week's speaker in our upcoming slides, and this is happening on the same time slot that you have joined right now. So please do join for the rest of the sessions as well using the same registration link. And a quick introduction to our hosting organization, what we are exactly. I believe many of you already aware, but those who have joined us for the first time, so we known as Global Skill Development Council, we're vendor agnostic, vendor neutral, which makes us completely independent certification body. And also we are accredited by ABICP. And a very proud thing to share with you all that we do have 100 plus certification portfolios with us, and we have certified more than 250,000 professionals worldwide. Also, we have 100 plus authorized training partner across the regions. We have partners in Asia, Africa, Canada, America, and many other countries. So a big thanks to all our training partners and those individuals who have joined us through training partner channel. In case if you're looking for any training program for yourself, feel free to reach out to our training partners to have further inquiries about it. You will find their contact details shortly in the chat box. And also, we are association with 1,000 plus multinational corporates, 500 Fortune companies, and 50 plus universities across the world. And this slide explains about the GSDC AI Studio, which is a lifelong learning initiative that we have introduced in the GSDC a few months back. So this is a platform where we are providing 100 plus live sessions on AI, which is led by global experts, where you'll be getting 4 daily sessions, which will be a 45 minutes of live and impactful sessions, along with the hands-on learning, which means you will be getting a platform to implement all the things that you have learned. And in case if you get any question or doubts, all your questions will be resolved instantly with the help of our subject matter experts and our global leaders. So this training is aligned with industry standards for absolutely job-ready skills. And I believe this is amazing opportunity to learn from the AI leaders, experts around the globe, right? And in case if you're wondering how you can access to GSDC AI Studio, kindly get in touch with our learning advisors for further assistance. I will be sharing their contact details shortly in the chat box. And also, I'm very proud to inform you all this session we are broadcasting worldwide via our partner Restream, where we'll be live more than 30 plus platforms, which includes YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on, as you can see on the screen, right? So to our speakers, you're not addressing a small room today. 80,000 plus people will be watching us live. So yeah, let's create something memorable today. And without any further delay, I'm truly honored to welcome our today's speaker, Finian Kujit. Here's more about our speaker today. So Finian works with ISO Planner, where he helps organizations structure and professionalize their information security management. He specializes in supporting companies with the efficient management of multiple parallel ISO certification, enabling them to streamline compliance process, strengthen governance, and maintain certification requirements more effectively. And ladies and gentlemen, also I would like to inform you we have Ivor who will be helping us with the questions. So make sure that you'll be dropping all the questions that you get during the session in the chat box, and Ivor is there to help you with all your questions that you get. Let's give them a warm welcome for today's session. Thank you, Finian, for joining us, and Ivor, you can have the handover of the mic now. Thank you.
Thank you, Pritam. Very glad to be here. First of all, amazing that GSDC is organizing events like this. Let me just share the presentation I've made. Great. So the topic we're going to be covering today is how to manage ISO 27001 inside of Microsoft. So the things we're going to be covering is, first of all, the kind of who we are, then what is ISO 27001, what does it kind of consist of? Then we'll go into kind of the common pitfalls and traps that a lot of companies encounter when managing this exclusively within Microsoft environments. And lastly, we'll quickly show you how we kind of solve those problems and how we go about that. And then lastly, for any questions or if at any time during the Q&A you're wondering about something, just type it into the chat and our founder, Ivor, will get back to you at the end to do a Q&A and get into the details. So first of all, who are we? So at ISO Planner, we're a software company that essentially helps people structure their ISO certificates. And we are specialized in ISO 27001 specifically. So we help structure and kind of make the workflows way more optimal and way more time efficient than if you just manage them separately. How we kind of came to be is that story starts with the two founders, Chris and Ivor. They met at university and eventually both found themselves going through different ISO implementations at the same time. And both found that both of their companies were quite struggling with it. And eventually Chris decided to just code an internal tool to just help himself at first manage ISO 27001 and get things in order. And eventually they found that this was so common also in other companies that they decided to go full-time on ISO Planner in 2020. And now about 5 years later, we've expanded to 650 different companies that we help structure and optimize their ISO implementations in over 15 countries. So it's really, really grown. Our solution is as well. And yeah. Now, next, I'd like to cover what is ISO 27001. Some of you might already be really familiar with ISO 27001. Maybe you already have a certificate you're managing yourselves. And for others, it might be a little newer. So for those people, I'll just give a quick overview. ISO 27001 is the information security management standard. And what's important with that is that this ISO certificate, like others, essentially tells you how to create a management system. So it's not a certificate that you just check a few boxes and then it's done and then you get the sticker on your website. It's really something that needs to be maintained, that is going to evolve and grow with the organization. And really, it will be like a live system to protect your information, essentially. Now, the core components of any ISO 27001 implementation are, first of all, understanding the risks. So it's very, very important that you need to be aware of what things can go wrong. How can my information potentially get out, or how can the completeness of my information be harmed? So this is a very as a first step, very, very crucial to just understand what are the risks, what can go wrong, and really just searching down all the avenues to get complete data on that. Then the second thing is putting controls into place. So the ISO actually specifies that for every risk, they need to be controlled with controls. So you're going to do certain things within the organization, you're going to put certain measures into place, you're going to write certain policies to make sure that the events you identified in the risks are never actually going to happen, or are going to happen the least amount possible. Now, then you have the third, and that is actually monitoring and proving that the controls work. So understanding and identifying risks is important, controlling them is important, but then the third step would be actually making sure that the controls you do put into place are effective and are working to reduce the likelihood of those risks. Now, that involves, for example, the audits you do every year and every 3 years, the recertification, to just make sure the system is functioning like it has to, but also throughout the year, just monitoring and gathering evidence about the different controls to make sure they're actually effective at reducing the risk. And then if you do that, if you audit, if you monitor throughout the year, you will find that some things went wrong, or someone didn't adhere to a policy, or something happened. That's actually completely normal. The only thing you have to do afterwards is just implement new systems to make sure it doesn't happen again. So that would be the fourth point, improving continuously. So seeing where is the system still lacking, where can I still improve, what's going wrong, and then fortifying the system even further so it works better and better. So like we covered a little bit on the last slide, this is really going to be an evolving information security system, an ISMS, Information Security Management System, be the technical term for it, that needs to be maintained and is also capable of growing or expanding to your organization if you maintain it well and if you structure it well. Now, the kind of engine between that's powering the ISO 27001, or the kind of methodology that it's built on, is called the PDCA cycle. So that stands for plan, do, check, and act. So the plan would be just, for example, involve identifying the scope. So which part of the company is and is not included in the ISMS. Maybe you have multiple companies included. Determining how big do we want to make the certificate, or how small, how specific. Identifying the risks and picking the controls. That's all in the planning. Basically, you're building the structure of how the ISMS will look like. Then you have the second phase, the do phase. Okay, so you've defined the risks, you've written policies for the controls. Now it's actually time to implement them. So set up structures, maybe write policies to make sure the controls are actually working, and assign clear ownership so the right people know which actions they need to take throughout the year to really make sure the risks are mitigated. So this is essentially planning. It's just making it once, implementing the norm, and then doing is actually making sure the necessary actions you need to take are done throughout the year. Then you have the third phase, which would be checking. And with checking, you basically want to log the things you do in the do phase. So, for example, if there's someone needs to make backups every month, you want to have some sort of log or some sort of evidence that that has happened. Otherwise, when you look back at the system, you have no way to tell if it actually happened or not, if your company is adhering, if something went wrong. So checking is really about really logging evidence and then checking if everything is being done. So that's with internal audits once a year and just monitoring, and also reviews by management, like reviewing certain risks, seeing if everything is still up to date. You can only do that checking though if you do log everything you do in the do phase. So that's, I hope that makes sense. The point I'm trying to get across is very important to keep track of your audit trail and to actually keep track of the things you do surrounding compliance and have somewhere to look back on them. Now, the last phase of the PDCA would be act, and that is when something goes wrong, or when you look back at your task and you see that someone has, for example, missed doing the backups for 2 months, you do something to make sure it doesn't happen again. So, for example, you set automatic reminders, or you check the year planning on a certain schedule to really make sure if something goes wrong, you basically want to ask yourself, what can we fix about the system so this is never going to happen again? And then the act brings you back to the plan, where you maybe identify new risks, controls, and then round and round it goes in a continuous circle, basically making sure that your information stays secure. Now, if you are already managing an ISO 27001, this might seem really familiar. If this is new to you, this might seem a little overwhelming. The truth is, there is quite a bit of work that comes into implementing this thing. And that's also partly the reason why certain bigger companies, enterprise companies, also put so much weight on this specific certificate. It's because it's not a checkbox that you tick once. It really shows that you take information security seriously and actively work throughout the year to maintain it. So the fact that it takes more work is also the exact same fact, which makes a certificate like this valuable and actually means something. So you've implemented it, you have the PDCA cycle running. Now we're going to get into some of the common pitfalls that people encounter when managing ISO 27001 in Microsoft. So maybe if you're currently already managing a 27001, some of these things will feel very familiar. If you're not, if you're maybe thinking about starting or currently in a 27001, these are really good things to consider and take into the back of your mind and find solutions for, preferably before you actually encounter them. Yeah, so the first thing that people I talk to within the compliance space almost unanimously say when they manage their ISO purely in Microsoft is that the documentation very easily gets messy. So within ISO 27001, it's different than, for example, 9001 or some other ISO standards. It's quite big and involves a lot of documentation. So a lot of documented processes, a lot of policies, and also with the proof, the documentation really starts to stack up. And if you're just managing that within SharePoint, it can become really easy to just have a messy folder structure and it becoming really hard to find the right documents. And those are things that you're going to feel, one, in an audit, when you need to pull up the right policy or find a piece of documentation and you're really struggling. It's not something you want to have happen. And also throughout the year, if you make it really hard for your employees to find the right policy or the right documents they need, they're also going to have a way harder time actually following them and adhering to them, which will mean the system isn't working as well. So that's something really common that a lot of people encounter with basically managing everything on SharePoint. Second very common issue with the Microsoft-only approach is that it's not transferable. So usually when people are setting it up, they just write the documents in Word, and then for the kind of more continuous things like risk registers, they use an Excel spreadsheet. Now, the thing, Excel can work really well to set it up, but in maintaining, it can become really less optimal, let's say. So to zoom in specifically on the transferability, these spreadsheets can get quite big and also quite complex. So something that we've seen really a lot is that there's one person responsible for the ISO implementation. He sets up this big, gigantic spreadsheet with all the information, everything complete, everything logged correctly. It makes perfect sense in his mind. And then that person leaves. And then you have this problem that basically no one else in the organization really knows how the ISMS works or how they should work with this spreadsheet, what they should update, how they can keep it relevant. And at that point, you really have a big problem because you cannot manage your own management system well. So this is a really common risk that people should be aware of, and that's also something that can really go wrong if you don't take it into account. Third kind of pitfall is that you just put things in different places. So you have the evidence all logged in separate emails. You have all the policies and documents in SharePoint and maybe in some individuals' personal storage. And then you have the risk register and other documents stored in separate Excel, stored in different places. And that makes it really hard to kind of get a real overview, see what needs to be done, how are we doing. It just makes it really hard to manage, essentially. Now, the fourth one is that with this approach, like the spreadsheet we just talked about, it becomes really draining for the employees to log actions. So this can go down in either one of two ways. Sometimes employees need to actually edit these spreadsheets, and then it takes a lot of time for them to find the right thing, find the right place where they need to log it, especially if you work with a change log and they need to edit it every time they do something surrounding to compliance. It really creates a lot of manual admin work, especially if you combine it with a messy documentation as well. And it's also pretty prone to errors because, for example, the change log, an employee only needs to forget that once to go through to the second spreadsheet and log it there, and you already have an issue because the auditor is going to look at that during an audit and maybe bring it up, and then you just would rather avoid those situations. And being that it takes a lot of work and manual labor to kind of log those actions, sorry, I'm going too fast, I'll take one step back. The other option is that it just falls on one person in the organization to make sure all the evidence is structured correctly. So in that case, it's often someone who has to, before the audit, dig through their entire mailbox and find 6-month-old mails and then make sure they somehow end up connected to the right controls and right other things. And that just becomes like a big mountain of work before the audit. And also if you find out things are not going well, things didn't go well throughout the year, you're basically too late at that point to really rectify it. So that's basically the speed of logging and just documenting what we talked about. And that really leads very nicely into the last point. With compliance, and especially with 27001, it can be really hard to kind of spread out the workload and get colleagues on board. So the best compliance teams, they actually involve other people in the company, and it becomes a collective effort that everyone is aware of and everyone is participating in, or at least most people are participating in. The less well-structured ISMSs that also have a bit more trouble during the audits are where there's one person basically responsible of everything, and other people aren't really aware of the rules, they aren't really involved. And if they need to do something, this person often sends a mail, the mail gets ignored, and he has to spend a lot of time and energy chasing people within the organization to make sure they actually do their job so he is on his schedule. The reason that happens is multiple. Often compliance work might not be the most fun. And secondly, with some of the other issues, it being slow to log, the messy documentation, it can create a lot of resistance within people to actually do the tasks they're assigned. Now, those are kind of the most common pitfalls. There are others, but these are things that we really see come back time and time again and again. This is kind of our approach we took. So we've basically built some sort of tooling to manage and structure your certificates better. And our approach we really took is we want to integrate with the workspaces you're already using. So a lot of other tooling, they kind of still becomes this own standalone thing that can still suffer from some of the issues we talked about before, like messy documentation. Maybe it's not messy, but it's still not clear to someone who's not a regular user. Resistance to adoption. People have to learn the tool to do their tasks, so the resistance just shifts from Microsoft to the other tool. So our approach at 𝗚𝗦𝗗𝗖𝗲 was kind of different. We want to make something that's just really integrated with Microsoft and really easy and friendly to use for the power users, but also for the easy to get other people involved in the process. So that's a little bit about the pitfalls and kind of what can go wrong. Now we're going to get into actually how we kind of solve that and a couple of our takes on some of those things. If you have any questions about this part of the webinar, I think now would be a good time to just go into the chat, ask, and we'll get to it in the Q&A in a bit. And then we can dive some deeper into some specific topics, or if you have a question related to your specific company, just put it in the chat now. I'll quickly stop screen share and switch tabs. Okay, fantastic. Well, this is essentially the ISO Planner platform, what we've been working on for the past 5 years to solve the issues we just discussed. I'm not going to bore you or drag you down with all the intensive details. I'll just give you a quick high overview and some of our takes on the kind of most common pitfalls. And then afterwards, we'll move on to the Q&A. So the place we'll start is requirements. For those familiar with ISO, you'll know the norm is split into 10 chapters. 4 of those chapters actually ask things of you. So we basically loaded all those chapters into ISO Planner itself, which you can then assign responsibility to. Good thing to know is, say you're managing multiple certificates next to each other, it'll also register overlap. So it'll combine the example requirement of the 9,000 and 27,000 together. Now I want to link back to kind of what we just talked about with the messy documentation and complicated folder structures a bit. So how we handle that in ISO Planner is we basically only link back to your own SharePoint environment. So in this case, you'll see this requirement is implemented by a SWOT analysis. For those of you already doing the norm, this will seem very familiar. You can view that directly within the software, and it's just a link back to the SharePoint document itself. Now, this in and of itself might not seem that special, but what is nice about this is that this SWOT analysis can basically appear back in every requirement, risk, and control that it's related to. So the overarching idea here is that all the documentation you need is available within one click wherever it's relevant. And we've noticed that that really creates a lot more structure and a lot more clarity internally about what is related to what, and also make it more easy to find things. Also something that makes audits go over way smoother. Now, furthermore, we talked a little bit about assigning ownership. So in this case, you can also assign an owner, so who's going to be responsible for managing this. This helps with internal involvement and really making clear who's going to do what throughout the year. In this case, it is Ivar who will be just doing the Q&A in a little bit. Now, these are requirements. These are essentially the blueprint steps to set up the ISMS. So there's things you walk through mostly one time, and then you have the basically system with the risks, controls, and checks all set up after you've run them through. Now we move on to the risks. So here you can see an example of what a risk register might look like. Just totally import it into ISO Planner. If we open this risk, you can see once again the owner. So we really try and make it as clear as possible to who's responsible. These owners are based on Microsoft Entra ID, so they're just directly connected to the Microsoft accounts. You have a risk analysis that you can do a likelihood impact on to really make it clear which risks are most dire to focus on right now. Helps you prioritize everything basically. Yeah, in this example, it's another great example of the documentation feature we just talked about. So you can see there are 6 documents linked here, 6 documents that have to do with this risks. And every single one of those documents is just available to view within one click. So you can just see it. And during an audit, when an auditor asks you about a certain policy, like how does the privacy policy see, you don't have to navigate to a different folder. You can just open it within the software itself. Now, what's nice about this, and also the responsibility piece, is that transferability we talked about a little bit earlier. That also really helps with this. So just having it clear what's linked to what documents are related where. If the person who's responsible for managing ISO leaves, that all just stays. So the next person can just pick it up and have clean overviews of what's linked to what. Now, in ISO 27001, it also asks you to relate risks to controls. So you need to know which controls are mitigating which risks and vice versa. That can be something that can just be a drag to manage in Excel. So we also have these handy links basically everywhere in the software that can link different parts of the application together. So in this case, you have 4 risks that are related to, or 4 controls that are related to this risk. You can just click and go through to the next one. And here in this control, you see the same. So you assign an owner, someone responsible, and then link documents to really make it clear and easy in oversight. Now we've discussed controls, risks, and requirements. These are really the parts that are going to make sure your ISMS is structured in a good way and is really going to give you more oversight, make it more transferable, and just make it easier to manage. Some companies notice that just by doing it like this, their implementation automatically gets more structured, or they automatically find some improvement points that they're going to work on and to make it better. Then we still have a very important piece, and that is actually the logging of what you're going to do. What we talked about, you want to keep track of all your compliance activities so you can actually see where you can improve. And that can be very time-consuming and very difficult to get people involved in. So for that, we made tasks, which within every requirement, risk, control, you can see tasks and events. And here you can see basically the entire history of everything you've done so far related to this control. Now, you can put in all the info you want. So if I say for this, you can put a title, description, If you have certain policies, you can break them into clear, defined steps so people can just do the tasks and don't have to search for different documents. And yeah, this is just basically instructions, not so special. The nice thing about this is going back to that involving other colleagues. So there's usually, that problem can be divided in two. They either miss your one email about what you want them to do and just don't see the tasks. They want to do them, they're just not visible enough, so they forget about them, don't do them. Or secondly, it takes a lot of effort and time to find the right documents, find the right Excel sheet to edit, and it just becomes such a barrier that they resist doing it and procrastinate. On the visibility, we have different functions. You can save and send email reminders to them. You can configure that all yourself, like repeatedly. After it passes the deadline, they'll just loop on a schedule until it's actually completed. Or, and this is my favorite option, you can actually plan time in their calendar. So this works especially well for people who are busy, who can't just last minute do something. They actually get a block of, in this case, an hour, which they can move to a time that suits them before the deadline. We've noticed with those two functions, it really becomes easier for people to not forget and to remember to do their compliance tasks. And then for the making it easier to do, these tasks can be finished within either Outlook or Teams as well. So like I said earlier, this is kind of our bread and butter. What we try and focus most on is just getting into the environments you guys already work on, which is Microsoft. So people can finish it directly from Outlook or directly within a Teams channel, just finish this task instead of having to learn a whole new software application or going somewhere else. Now, if I click save, it'll be added to the data, to the history, and this will just build up throughout the year. So when the audit comes, you can very easily just reference back to things, and also for yourself have way more overview of what is going right and what is going wrong. And then lastly, a really nice feature is just being able to set certain tasks automatically on schedules. So for example, information has to be backed up every month by me, and it'll automatically create tasks with the reminders, and 5th of January, 2nd of February, etc. So every month. Now, this has two benefits. First of all, it eliminates so much manual work. You don't have to, people or the managers of the ISO don't have to manually message people. You can just basically set the system once and then it keeps on running. And secondly, this gives you, very important to go back to the oversight. It gives you a very clear view of if you are actually on schedule to succeed in your next audit. So the red boxes mean tasks haven't been done and are past the deadline. Green boxes mean they have been done, and white means it's still in the future. So something like this, there are other solutions as well, but I think in general, something like this can be really helpful to just see a lot of red, time to ring the alarm bell and really make sure we are on track with our planning. Otherwise, you just know for sure you're going to get in trouble during the next audit. So yeah, to kind of recap what we talked about, the messy documentation, you just fix that by linking to the documents you already have, and they're available everywhere. They're relevant to with one click. The transferability, by structuring it in that way, it actually becomes way less of a big deal when someone that's managing the system leaves, way more transferable. The oversight piece is fixed by just managing it in one place instead of having emails, spreadsheets, Word documents, SharePoint documents all next to each other. You just have one central place in which you essentially manage things. And the slowness to log is basically reduced by this annual plan, which I showed you, which just creates it automatically and makes it easier for people to finish them. And that's also number 5, getting colleagues on board, just getting into the environments they already work in to make it as easy as possible for them and essentially remove as many barriers as you can. So that's there it is. So that's the basics. That's our vision on kind of these problems and what are good ways to solve them. I hope you guys have a better view if whether you want to go with this or another solution. I think this gives a really good base work to kind of see what possible solutions could be. And I already saw a lot of chats coming in. I say we hand it over to Ivar now, and he can answer some of your questions and kind of get more into the specific details.
Great. Thank you, Finian. That's a great presentation. There are some messages in the chat indeed. Not a lot of questions yet. So make sure you ask your questions there, or maybe if you're on another platform, the questions can come in another way. There's a question about our website. It's at 𝗚𝗦𝗗𝗖𝗲𝗿𝗁𝗍.app. I'll also post the link to the website in the chat if you want to know. So 𝗚𝗦𝗗𝗿𝗗𝗿.app. So any other questions are very welcome. I think, Finian, you have a very clear presentation about the standard itself and also the things you might run into if you start implementing ISO 27001, and then how ISO Planner may help you resolve those issues. I do see a question. With the rapid adoption of Microsoft Copilot and other AI capabilities, what new information security risks should organizations address to remain ISO 27001 compliant? That's a great question. With AI, of course, the same underlying topic remains, which is the security of information. So the availability, the integrity, and the confidentiality of information. And if information is now processed by AI, that's another element to take into consideration. And I think if it comes to ISO 27001, an auditor would expect you, as the organization, to take that into account. First of all, in your context of your organization. So any external factors that affect your organization's management system, that's one place where you may want to consider also mentioning AI as maybe a threat or an opportunity. So that's one place to address AI. And then the next place, obviously, I think would be in your risk register, because maybe following, of course, on the context and the factors, the external factors, you may see specific risks. For example, you may see the risk that your employees start using ChatGPT, maybe a private ChatGPT, and just entering personal information from your customers into ChatGPT with the risk that it maybe leaks or that the information is no longer confidential when it should be. So that's a risk, I think, certainly to address in your management system, and then to take a look at, okay, which controls could help us mitigate that risk. And those controls, they could be like generic controls, which also help implement or help reduce other risks. Maybe like the use of shadow IT is a general thing to take into account, where AI may also be shadow IT. So maybe that's one place, or maybe there will be specific controls that you want to take or implement to help reduce this risk. But I think in general, the standard controls from ISO 27001 will be very effective in helping reduce this risk. For example, you may want to look into awareness for your employees, just for them to be aware of the policies. Make sure you do awareness sessions. So those are like basic controls that you can implement, which help with information security in general, but also specifically with AI. So I hope that helps. I see the question for us to share our LinkedIn profiles for Finian and myself. We'll do that. Oh, it's done already, I see. Thank you. And then I see the question regarding how do you effectively map Microsoft 365 and Azure security capabilities to ISO 27001 NXA controls while ensuring there are no compliance gaps? Also a great question. In Microsoft 365, in the Admin Center, of course, you do also have the option to see controls in your Microsoft environment mapped to ISO 27001 controls. So that helps you find out which of the configuration settings in your Microsoft environment are related to which of the controls. Then, of course, there are settings in Microsoft 365 that you really want to make sure that are implemented correctly on an ongoing basis. And for that, we have the option, the feature in ISO Planner to connect to your Azure tenant, to your Microsoft 365, and to make sure that those checks are automatically done on a regular basis. For example, if you have a policy that your employees must have MFA enabled on their Microsoft accounts, that would be a great control to implement. Then you may want to check maybe once a week or once a month whether all the users actually do have MFA enabled. And for that, we have an integration with Microsoft 365 where that check can be done for you automatically. Also, Microsoft has Microsoft Secure Scores that they calculate that indicate what the security is of your Microsoft tenant. And those secure scores can also be read automatically on a periodic basis from ISO Planner to make sure that you stay on top of that score and how it progresses, whether it's increasing or decreasing. That will give you a visibility into that metric as well. So then another question. Based on your experience, what are the most common non-conformities or audit findings in Microsoft-based environments? And what practical steps can organizations take to avoid them? Also, very good questions. Let me think. I think non-conformities and audit findings, of course, are a lot wider in scope than just the Microsoft 365 settings. I think one maybe is retention. So, for example, depending on the country you live in, there may be laws that require you to keep information only for so long. For example, in the Netherlands, we have the rule that if you have job applicants, so people apply for a job at your company, then you get their resume, but you are not allowed to save the resume for longer than X period of time. So that's something that you can easily manage within Microsoft 365. You can have those resumes in a folder, and you can have a retention policy on that folder, which makes sure that the resumes are automatically deleted after a certain period of time. And that's, well, not hard to implement, but it's often overlooked. So it would be great to look into that. Let me think if I can find other non-conformities which are common or audit findings. But I think most non-conformities or audit findings in general will be not for Microsoft 365 settings, but for things outside of that. For example, for not having awareness with your employees, for not having awareness sessions, maybe for people, for your employees to use software that's not allowed, that's not on the list of allowed software. That's of course very common. So I think that's more common than specific Microsoft 365 admin settings. Great questions so far. Thank you very much. If you do have more, please put them in the chat and then we can answer them.
Thank you so much, 𝗟𝗏𝗍, for answering all the questions so far. And I would like to request all the participants in the chat box who are available on the Zoom, I mean to say, as we got this question across live platforms, but those who are here on the Zoom, I would like to request you all, if you have any question later on, feel free to reach out to our speakers. I've already shared the LinkedIn profile link in the chat box in case if you want to discuss anything further related to today's session, feel free to reach out to them. And there's other way where you can post your queries on social media, tag GSDC, or our speakers will definitely get back to you with the answers, right? So there's last question we'll be taking it for today, which came from Nia Sharma. I'll be sending it in the chat box.
Yeah, great, thank you. So how should organizations approach the shared responsibility model in Microsoft cloud environments from an ISO 27001 compliance perspective? Yeah, so Microsoft will be your supplier, and ISO 27001 has a lot of focus on supplier and supplier management. So what you will have is you will have a supplier policy, you will have risks related to suppliers, and through that policy and your procedures regarding suppliers, you will manage the risk of your supplier. So that's the perspective of how to do that. So there's a shared responsibility, of course, which also means that there will be things your responsibility, which are your responsibility. So you will need to have internal procedures and policies to manage them. And then there is the responsibility of your supplier, Microsoft in this case, which you will manage through mostly contractual terms with your supplier. So that may be an SLA, that may be that you would require your supplier to be ISO 27001 certified themselves, as Microsoft is. So as a supplier, you will manage the risk by the contract that you have with them and by the requirements that you place on them. Yeah. Great.
Wonderfully answered, 𝗚𝗏. Thank you so much for addressing all the questions so far. It was,
Sure.
I believe this is definitely a very helpful, and thank you, Finian, for amazing and very informative session. I think that we have covered this topic, which is ISO 27001 compliance within Microsoft ecosystem for the first time in this series. So thank you, gentlemen. I believe this is definitely going to be a very helpful for all the people who joined us today. And the time for the closing, but before that, I would love to hear final thoughts from you. So yes, Finian, start from you.
Yeah, amazing to give the session. I hope it was very valuable to you guys to get kind of a perspective on the most common pitfalls. I imagine especially my hope would be if you're just starting or considering starting the certificate, you can really take these things to account and work around them. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'm glad to be here.
Indeed, it was a very great session. Thank you, Finian. Yes, 𝗚𝗏, do you have to say something?
Yeah, just one last thing, just general advice, which is, I think, very important to stress and to give this advice is, please try to keep it simple. ISO 27001 is a big subject. It can grow rapidly into a lot of work. So if you have the option, then I would always advise you to keep it as simple and minimal as you could. And then if you want to grow it later, there's always the option, but the other way around, if you start big, it's going to be very hard to bring it back to simple again. So those are my final words for this session. Thank you.
Absolutely, 𝗚𝗏. I absolutely agree. It's a very vast and it's a very big. So we might expect more sessions from you guys. So we'll look forward to have you join for further sessions, because we keep running this series. Yeah. So we'll definitely reach out to you according to your availability. We would love to schedule another session. Thank you so much, gentlemen, again for this wonderful session today. And I would like to request all the participants to stay connected till the end, as I have some closing announcement for all of you. So please allow me a minute so I can quickly share my screen.
Thank you.
Here we go. So the interesting announcement is regarding the spotlight. Let's congratulate to our spotlight of the week, Nicholas and Austin. So as they have shared their amazing experience from the previous session, and anyhow they inspired other people to join our session. So it's very simple. You can be next our spotlight of the week. You just have to share your session reviews, your feedback, your learning takeaways, and your learning experience on social media. And do not forget to tag us, GSDC, and our speaker. That's how we'll get the visibility of your learning experience that you will share, right? So please do share it, and let's inspire others to join the session. And we'll be picking up one of the best story that we find, and we'll be giving that professional fame and recognition across all of our platform and live shout out during our sessions, right? So please do share your feedback, your session experience, whatever it is, on social media. I'll be looking forward to it. Yeah. And also, please do not forget to share your reviews on reviews.io as well. You'll find the link in the chat box. So please do share your reviews. Thank you, everyone. And a quick announcement regarding the another tracks that we are conducting in the GSDC, which is on intelligent decision making in the AI of age. We have this incredible panel of experts lined up from 29th June till 10th July 2026 with a different time slot. You can check the time slot mentioned below: 9:30 p.m. Singapore, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time, 8:30 a.m. Central, and 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So you can join according to your time zones. Might maybe a set reminders for yourself that you won't miss this very powerful sessions, I must say. And this is our another track, which is learning and development. We have this incredible learning and development professionals who will be joining us to share their insights on learning for growth, shaping the workforce for tomorrow. Do join us from 29 June till 10th of July 2026 with a different time slot, which is 10:30 p.m. Singapore, which is almost about to start in next 3 minutes. So I have already shared the registration link in the chat box. Just scroll up a little bit, you'll find all the links of the webinars that I'm announcing right now, along with the WhatsApp group link where you'll get the daily update. So do not forget to join us on the WhatsApp as well. And this is utility tool. We have designed this tool for all the professionals out there who want to upskill themselves, which means how this tool will help you. This will help you to level up your profile. It will give you an improvement tips to level up your LinkedIn profile score, your AI skills score. Also, it will help you to build your personal brand. And this tool has a feature where you can create AI generated resumes as well, in case if you're planning to switch your job, right? Just a kidding. You can use this AUG100 as a code to get 100% discount. And this discount is only applicable for all the webinar attendees who joins us here on the Zoom, right? So grab this opportunity, check this tool out. And in case if you face any issue, any technical issue with this tool, please do let me know. You can directly write to me at pritham@gsdcouncil.org, and I'm very happy to assist you all. Yeah. You'll find the utility link in the chat box shortly. And let's congratulate to them. We have these referral champions who have referred maximum people to our session, to this series, ISO series, Astik, Rakesh, and Bendy, right? Let's congratulate to them and appreciate them for referring maximum people to our session. So I would like to inform you all, those who gets 50 or more than 50 points by referring people, you all will be winners and will be getting back to all the winners with the rewards, which is worth $400. And top 3 winners will be featured on the GSDC Wall of Fame as well. So do refer maximum people. As you all know, referring people to knowledgeable and powerful sessions like this, it is something that you are taking step ahead to becoming thoughtful leader, isn't it? So please do refer maximum people to our session and be the winner. And thank you everyone for joining us for the live session today. I will look forward to have you all join for all our upcoming sessions, which is scheduled this week, next week, and more. As you know, we have all these sessions scheduled for each week, right? So yes, I'll see you everyone. Thank you, Ivor and Finian, again for incredible session today. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.